This is where the big boys come to play. The Ultimate Fighting Championship. And this is their playpen, the Octagon. Home to the toughest, most intense hand-to-hand combat ever. Yes, it's UFC 10, the tournament, where 8 fighters walk in and only one champion walks out. The Ultimate Fighting Champion. Tonight, it's a triumphant return of the undefeated UFC 8 champion, Don the Predator Fry. Can Fry grab another title, or will this man, Gary Big Daddy Goodridge, find a new way to win? Or will Giant Killer Mark Hall spoil the party for both of them? These 3 veterans, plus a new field of martial arts competitors, are all here, ready for the ultimate test of skill and will, of style and guile. It's UFC 10, a milestone in martial arts history. The Octagon awaits. Seeing is believing. Let's open up the gate. We're in the magic city of Birmingham, Alabama, where the mighty statue of Vulcan, the Roman god of fire and forge, stands as a monument to the city's iron industry. The Civil Rights Institute, a testament to the city's civil rights history. The 16th Street Baptist Church, a place where Martin Luther King preached peace. Legion Field in Birmingham, a host site to the summer's Olympic soccer matches, home for so many years to the legendary coach Paul Bear Bryant. Birmingham also means baseball. Rickwood Field, the oldest baseball field in America, a living museum which showcased Ruth, Cobb, Jackie Robinson, and a young man named Willie Mays, who led the Black Barons to the championship in 1948. And we welcome you to the State Fair Arena, which has played host to the Alabama Fair since 1892. A multi-dimensional facility in the heart of this modern, progressive city. Home to basketball, boxing, concerts, and rodeo. And tonight, host of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to UFC 10. And tonight, the tournament returns. That's right, 8 fighters in a single elimination tournament. 4 fights in the opening round, 2 in the semis, 1 in the final. It's the format that UFC fans know best, and the format in which you have to win 3 grueling fights in one night. Now this evening, we've got some veterans returning. We've got Fry, Goodridge, and Hall, and some very tough newcomers, including Mark Coleman, who is a 2-time All-America wrestler, and Moti Horenstein, a 3-time Israeli karate champion. So we've got 3 veterans, 5 newcomers, 8 overall. We're looking forward to an action-packed evening here in Birmingham, Alabama. It's the UFC. Anything goes. It's unpredictable. We're looking forward to sharing it with you. Once again, it's a single elimination tournament. Giant Killer Mark Hall, who took out 400-pound sumo wrestler Koji Katao in UFC 9, faces the man many consider the best all-around fighter in the UFC, that's undefeated Don Fry. Then 2 newcomers square off, both kickboxers, Scott Fiedler of Pacific, Missouri, Brian Johnston of San Jose, California. In what should be a terrific matchup, Mark Coleman knocks head with Moti Horenstein. Coleman, a former All-America wrestler, Horenstein, the 3-time Israeli karate champion. And we finish the quarterfinals with pure power as John Campatella meets UFC 8 runner-up Gary Big Daddy Goodridge. Well, here are the laws of the Octagon. No biting, no eye gouging, and no fish hooking. The referee has the authority to restart the bout if there is a lack of action. No rounds, but a 12-minute time limit with 1 3-minute overtime in the quarters and the semis. A 15-minute time limit with 2 3-minute overtime sessions in the final. Here are the ways to win a fight tonight: by knockout, by submission, which is tapping the mat with your hand or foot. If the corner throws in a towel, if the referee stops the contest because a fighter cannot intelligently defend himself, by disqualification, or if time expires, 3 judges will render a decision. Now let's meet our 3 judges working tonight's UFC. Steve Neclia, a former Marine Corps boxer, now living in San Diego, California, columnist for a major martial arts magazine, Tung Soo Do, black belt. Michael D. Pasquale Jr., D. Pasquale Jiu-Jitsu, Rivervale, New Jersey, publisher and editor, Karate International magazine. And our third judge this evening is Mark Denny from Hermosa Beach, California, co-founder of the stick fighting clan, the Dog Brothers, head instructor, Dog Brothers Martial Arts. And our referee, certainly no stranger to UFC fans, Big John McCarthy from Corona, California, a tactical instructor at the Los Angeles Police Academy. He's working his 10th UFC, a former jiu-jitsu competitor who has officiated over 60 no-rules fights. There's our chief medical advisor, Dr. Richard Istergel. He's from Howard Beach, New York. He's on the advisory council of the WBC. Dr. Joel Cooperman, he's a board-certified specialist in musculoskeletal injuries. And our third member of our medical team, Dr. Stephen Goodman, plastic surgeon, Schenectady, New York, a member of the U.S. Olympic Sports Medicine Society. And there's the man they call the cut man for the UFC, the likable Leon Tabbs. He hails from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Been around the fight game for 30 years. He's worked with Bone Crusher Smith, Jerry the Bull Martin, Evander the Real Deal Holyfield. Now, the UFC sanctioning body is the IFC, the International Fighting Council. Its commissioner is Art Davey of Las Vegas, Nevada, former sergeant in the Marine Corps. He saw his first mixed martial arts competition back in 1969 in a Bangkok nightclub. He's got the look of a commissioner, too. Here's our first matchup of the night. It's Mark Hall against Don the Predator Fry. Both guys have been in the UFC. Of course, Fry's undefeated. He's 4-0. And Mark Hall comes off that super victory over Koji Katao, the 400-pound sumo wrestler. So he's coming in with a bit of confidence, but he's got a tall task here. The tail of the tape for this first quarterfinal bout. Mark Hall, Muay Do is his discipline, 4th-degree black belt. Donnie Fry, Greco-Roman wrestler. Hall comes in. He's 35 years of age. Fry is 30. You can see Fry with the weight advantage. Not much difference in height. One from California and one is from Arizona. Mark Hall, first man making his way to the octagon tonight. From Murrieta, California, in his 4th UFC with a record of 3-1. Mark Hall, a teacher at a 6,000 square foot martial arts school, a Muay Do and Street Combat Applications Training Center in Murrieta, California, managed by Jerry Dupuy.
Hall, a tremendous athlete. You saw him take out Kitao in the last one. Big man, 340, 360 pounds, and he took him out with a shot to the nose that broke the Japanese sumo wrestler and his hopes of making success here at the UFC. Hall, Muay Do, he's a tactician. He's a real thinker when he goes out there. He's a great striker, and he likes to hide his ground skills. He has jiu-jitsu experience. He will be able to defend himself if he goes down, and he's capable of striking with more than his hands.
And, Jeff, a word that's not up there.
Jerry, you take
fearless.
Care of your fighter. Got it?
Without a doubt, he will stand out there and go with whoever is in front of him, whether big, little, mean, or whatever.
Well, let's have Mark Hall, as the Rolling Stones would say, introduce himself.
I believe I've proven my martial art abilities with a record of 3-1 in the octagon. My only loss to Paul Varlins, whom I know I can beat with a rematch. I'm here to do honor to my Dojin World Grandmaster Tiger Yang in UFC 10.
Mark Hall, he is ready, but then again, he's always ready. Here comes a man that many consider the best all-around fighter in the UFC. The Predator, Don Fry, from Sierra Vista, Arizona. 4-0 in the UFC. UFC 8 champion in UFC 9, which was a bout format. He won his match convincingly. 700+ victories in freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling.
He has a good background from Arizona State and Oklahoma State in grappling, and what shocked us all was his striking ability. Tremendous hand speed, tremendous power in very short punches. Has some pro boxing experience. He is a good grappler, though we haven't seen him fight on the ground yet. It says prefers a stand-up fight, but he's somebody that gets angry when he hears that. He says he can fight on the ground, and he will hit you while he's on the ground.
All right, let's find out about Don Frye's approach to UFC 10.
I'm Don Frye, returning Ultimate Fighting Champion. I'm not here to prove my skills. I know what I can do. I'm not here to say hi to anybody. I am not at rest. I am not at peace. I have a real bad attitude. And when I go into the octagon, lock up your women and children, because all hell is going to break loose.
Well, the Tom Selleck lookalike says he likes to retain his anger. He does not want to go into the octagon happy.
No, he's somebody that wants to go in there with an attitude. He said his dog was killed in an accident, and he used that to motivate himself.
All right, we're set for the formal introductions, and right now let's go to Bruce Buffer.
SCG Sports Corporation welcomes you to the State Fair Arena in Birmingham, Alabama, for the greatest martial arts competition in the world, the Ultimate Fighting Championship #10. 8 of the world's toughest fighters will walk into this octagon tonight. 3 veterans, 5 challengers, and only 1 will emerge victorious. Tonight, there are no weight classes, no rounds, and no timeouts. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready for the Ultimate Fighting Championship #10? Our first bout of the evening. Please welcome back to the octagon a veteran of UFC #7, the Ultimate, and UFC 9. He's a 4th-degree black belt in the art of Muay Do, with black belts in Taekwondo and American Karate. He's got a UFC record of 3-1. He's 35 years old, 6 feet, 189 pounds, fighting out of Murrieta, California. The one, the only, Mark Hall! And to my right, standing at 6 feet, 1 inch tall, and weighing in at 214 pounds. He's 30 years old, a Greco-Roman wrestler with a 2nd-degree black belt in the art of judo. Fighting out of Sierra Vista, Arizona, he's undefeated in the octagon. Please welcome the defending Ultimate Fighting Champion, the Predator, Don Frye.
All right, look out. When Don Frye is ready to rock, anything can happen in the octagon. He's fast and he's furious. Don't blink. The Predator against fearless Mark Hall.
And Hall did catch him with a reverse kick.
A body slam by Frye.
Frye with a beautiful takedown put Hall on his back. But Hall came out and caught the Predator with a kick to the midsection. And the Predator is now taking away pieces of Hall's midsection.
Oh my, he's got the best punching ability maybe in the UFC.
He's trying to pass that guard now. If he can clear his right leg, he'll be in a position to really go after Mark Hall.
The Predator grabs both legs of Hall. Hall hanging tough. Trying to fight back, but not much doing there.
Full guard position.
Back to the body.
Full guard position there now. Now we'll see what Frye can do against someone that does have good experience with going ahead and working the guard.
Hall's giving away 25 pounds. And Frye is known as the wrestler. He's an Arizona State wrestler for 4 years, Oklahoma State for another. Won the Las Vegas qualifier in Greco-Roman and freestyle wrestling, but he can punch too.
Short, crisp punches.
A little bit of a headbutt.
Those aren't really going to do a lot of damage.
Oh, that stuff eats at your body for a while, Jeff.
Takes time. You have to accumulate those, but those aren't the big, heavy shots. Not what we're accustomed to from Don Fry.
He's going to the solar plexus again, though. Chopping at the kidney. And Mark Hall putting up some resistance, trying to throw a punch or so, but he's just being outhandled physically.
You can see marks on the side of Mark Hall now. You were right. The accumulation of those short shots will add up to damage.
Hall punching back, the headbutt from Fry.
Work him, Mark, work him.
Indication of how, even though they're short punches, how much power Fry does have in them. His boxing skills are very good, especially when you combine him with how lethal he is as a grappler. And Hall fighting back.
Fry trying to keep the reins on Mark Hall. We know that Mark can punch, and aggressively took out Koji Kitao, was 400 pounds. Again, chopping away at that body. And that does hurt.
I've always wondered if they get really high in the guard. In other words, he's up over his opponent's face. Why can't he bring an elbow back and try to hit him in the thigh? And that really could cause a hematoma, a Charlie horse, if you will, and really reduce mobility. Right there. Bring it right back into that quad.
Come on, work it, Mark. Get out of there.
Again, it's Don Fry on top, using that left hand, chopping away
Get him, Mark.
at the midsection of Mark Hall.
If you put that elbow right at the bottom of the quad above the knee, that could really cause swelling.
That's a lot of punches Hall's taking, trying to use the foot as a weapon.
You can see those bruises already on the ribs.
Those punches, and now a punch to the face.
That's just a chop, but it was effective.
Look out, another punch to the head by the Predator.
It is hard to believe that Hall is letting him hit that same side.
I don't think he can do much about it.
You hear that dull thunk, that hollow sound of him hitting those ribs.
And the mouthpiece has popped out. That's a sign of fatigue. I believe it was Hall's mouthpiece. Predator, it's a tricky role now because he's in the tournament, knows he's going to have to win 3 times in a night, doesn't want to exert too much power. But if he doesn't put him away, he figures, well, then he's going to have to go the full time limit.
That is correct. That is part of the tournament strategy here. You can go out, punch once in the head and miss, and wind up breaking your ankle. You have to think beyond the one fight, even though if you don't win the fight, you can't advance. So it's a very delicate, fine line you walk.
Over 4 minutes in, it's been all Don Fry, the Predator.
And continues to be.
And you can see those bruises.
I don't want to sneeze if I'm him tomorrow.
Well,
but Hall is fearless. You have to give him credit. He was unafraid. He was very composed. He isn't panicking here.
Fry is trying to figure out how to end this without exerting too much strength. And he goes back to that one area, which is really going to hurt in the morning.
Well, he hasn't really done anything to try to pass the guard yet. He hasn't tried to take his hips and move those legs around him.
Well, do you think it behooves him to try to make a move or not?
I wonder if it's a sign of whether or not he is really well-versed against an experienced UFC fighter in being able to pass the guard, and being able to pass the test of the guard. This seems to be the wrestler's one shortcoming, is being able to beat the guard.
Don continues to work. He's a guy with the speed of a middleweight, the strength of a heavyweight. That makes for double trouble.
You got to believe Don Fry's right arm is getting a little bit tired by now.
Back to the solar plexus, Jeff.
Racking up big points here.
It's actually closer to the middle of the rib cage, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I don't think Hall's got much energy left, and I don't know if he doesn't make a move here soon. Referee John McCarthy is either going to have a restart or he might end the fight.
As long as Fry stays active like this, the referee probably won't do anything. It's when you just lay there that he's going to stop it and bring you up to your feet.
Hall with a slight flurry.
Mark, pick him.
12-minute time limit. 1 3-minute OT in the quarters.
Perhaps he heard you. He seems to be becoming more active on bottom, trying to create openings for shots. Elbows and hands, even though he's not in a good position to put power behind him, he is still nonetheless trying to get some offense going. And if Fry gets him bucked up against that octagon fence, once again, he'll be in a position where he can't move because he's bound up by Fry's body and the fence. And if Fry can time his release to create distance, he can get a couple shots in. But look at that set of ribs, Deuce.
Mark's only loss in the UFC is to Paul Varland's a big man. Again, here he's giving away weight and also giving away power. He's still working that leg. Here's the medal of Mark Hall. But I just think he's outmatched here physically.
Well, the Predator so far has impressed people with his ability, most of all with his versatility and adaptability once he gets into the octagon. But a real good fight being put up by Mark Hall. He is not going to go away easy.
Hall now with his head up against the fence. Predator, same area, punching to the same part of the body.
It's an effective tactic. Even if he's not going to do damage, he realizes by being busy, I keep him right here.
Now he tries to go to the head. He scored a couple times there. And referee John McCarthy looking over towards the corner of Mark Hall. Wants Jerry Dupuis to see the damage that's being done by Fry.
Get out of there!
The corner does have the option to throw that towel in.
Oh, a good job here. He spent some time on his back. He is not letting Fry have one clean shot at his head. However, he is giving up his body. He is accepting the trade of not getting hit in the head for getting hit in the body.
Fry continues to work, though. He has not relaxed at all. Couple of headbutts there.
In this heat, you can see the lacquer of sweat on both bodies here. Makes it very difficult to get a good, clean bite.
Oh, punch to the head, another punch to the head by Fry.
And here's an opportunity. This is where the fence works
Hall
against.
threw a punch up, but he got nailed again.
There's the elbow. I was wondering when Fry would try to use that.
3 minutes to go in regulation. Jerry Dupuis got a close hand on that towel in Hall's corner. I don't know how much more punishment he's going to allow.
Those ribs are just looking as though they're bleeding. They're so black and blue. But not one of those punches
There's a lot of punishment to absorb.
But it's not one of those punches that's caused Hall to really even waver. But what they are doing is they are making a real hematoma on those ribs.
Oh, punch upstairs. I don't know. He's dominating. Jerry Dupuis got that towel up a little bit higher.
You need to quit.
Fry continues to punch away.
He can.
And Hall continues to fight gallantly.
You can't quit.
He is not going to go away, not with his ribs. Unless Hall can break a rib, I don't think you're going to see Mark Hall want to submit out of this or even begin to tap out. His corner may feel it's a hopeless situation, but Hall is not going to give up.
But in the UFC, Jeff, there is valor.
Oh, absolutely, and honor. And honor. You heard Fry say that he respects anyone who walks through that door of the octagon.
Fry has worked very hard on finishing, and referee John McCarthy steps in there. And I believe, is he ended it, or is he restarting it?
And I think that might be it.
I think that's it.
I think that's going to be it.
I don't think he can allow him to take any more punishment. John wants the doctor to take a look. He wants the doctor to take a look, Dr. Richard Istrigo.
Hall is not looking like a warrior at the moment. He seems to be feeling the pain, and I think that's going to do it.
That's going to be it. Even though he doesn't want to stop, he's got such tremendous courage, but there's no question that
the Predator
was one-sided.
Ladies and gentlemen,
came out and took a bite out of his side.
The winner of our first bout, Don Fry.
Oh, look at that embrace, the mutual respect. Great competitor, Mark Hall, but he was just out-handled by the power of Fry. And I think a good stoppage.
Oh, great call by John McCarthy. You don't see Mark Hall really complaining. And at the very beginning, this was the one good kick that Hall got in, and it caught Fry, but Fry immediately got in, looked like he was going to body lock him, and just slammed him to his back, and then started that relentless punching.
Jeff, he was talking about a secret weapon yesterday. That might have been it, right?
He might have thought that he could sneak one right in the midsection and take Fry out if he hits him in the solar plexus, but he ended up on his back, and the Predator took bites out of his side with those short, choppy punches.
Hey, it's the #1 guy.
So the Predator remains undefeated, 5-0 in the UFC. All right, Jeff, let's get ready for our next bout in the main draw, our second quarterfinal of the evening. And it will be two newcomers to the UFC, both strikers. Scott Fiedler against Brian Johnston. Fiedler from Missouri, Johnston is from California. Let's take a look at how these two match up for this UFC 10 quarterfinal bout. As you see, both kickboxers. Fiedler 3 years older. He's got a 13-pound advantage. Both are big customers at 6'4". One is from Mizzou and one from California. Scott Fiedler will be the first man to head to the octagon. He's 10-1 in amateur kickboxing matches, 5-0 in pro boxing matches. A black belt in Kempo Karate, a black belt in Ishin-Ryu Karate. Youngest of 6 kids, learned to defend himself pretty well over the years. At age 17, started training with 2-time Golden Gloves super heavyweight champ Donnie Brown. Then went into the Marine Corps right out of school. Did some boxing smokers there. Following an honorable discharge, he started karate and did about 6 different styles.
Fiedler, his pro boxing experience, we'll see what kind of punching power he has. This is his first time in. Being a kickboxer, he can use his elbows and knees effectively. Says he has limited grappling experience, but says he can strike on the ground. So look for him to have trouble if he gets caught in the guard. Not so much him mounted, but on his back.
Scott Fiedler's approach to his first UFC. He shared thoughts with us earlier.
Hi, I'm Scotty Fiedler. I'm from Pacific, Missouri. I'm glad to be here at the UFC 10. I'm looking forward to giving all you fans a treat. Hope I don't let anybody down, and I think you're going to like what you see once I step in the octagon.
And here comes his opponent, Brian Johnston from San Jose, California. 12-0 as an amateur kickboxer. Currently the Northern California Golden Glove super heavyweight champion. His style, well, he says he has to be totally well-rounded and a package. He said Bruce Lee coined a phrase of having no way as a way. That makes sense to me, says Johnston.
Well, without a doubt it does. In other words, if you go in there with just one game plan, that is not the effective way to approach fighting. And as every one of these fighters come in, you hear these new kinds of names. And these new names are hybrids and mixes of different disciplines. Kickboxing, he says he's an experienced grappler, spent a lot of time wrestling, so look for him to be good on the ground. A Golden Gloves champion in California. He's got to have some good punching power and limited bare-knuckle experience, but this is his first time in here as well as Fiedler, and let's see how these two meet up.
Brian Johnston, his debut in the UFC.
Hi, my name is Brian Johnston. I'm from San Jose, California. I didn't come here to talk tonight, came to fight.
Well, it was Michael Buffer who was last night in Madison Square Garden in that wild scene in the Bo Galata fight. And with us tonight, the other Buffer, Bruce Buffer. Let's go to Bruce for the introduction.
Our second bout of the evening starts off to my left with a kickboxer with black belts in Kempo and Ishin-Ryu Karate. He has a kickboxing record of 10-1, 7 by knockout, and a pro boxing record of 5-0, 5 by knockout. He's 29 years old, standing 6 feet 4 inches tall, and weighing in at 235 pounds. Fighting out of Pacific, Missouri, let's welcome Scotty Fiedler! And to my right, a kickboxer with a record of 12-0 in amateur competition. He holds a black belt in judo and is the reigning Northern California Golden Gloves super heavyweight champion. He's 26 years old, standing 6 feet 4 inches tall, and weighing in at 222 pounds. Fighting out of San Jose, California, let's welcome Brian Johnston.
So Johnston in the red, white, and blue trunks. Fiedler in the black trunks. Big John McCarthy will start things up.
This what you came here for. Are you ready?
Winner of this
Are you
has
ready?
the unenviable
Let's get it
task
on.
of meeting Don Fry in the semis. Two newcomers. What can we expect?
Well, there's a beautiful throw by Johnston on Fiedler, and he's going to do it again. Almost got it again. There it was. He's using a trip to take out the outside leg.
Johnston takes him down again. Now Fiedler rolls with him.
Looking for a submission on that knee.
Johnston's got the knee.
Nothing yet. Nothing yet. But an interesting, this looks more like a wrestling match right now. More than one that we've ever seen before. No strikes being thrown. Just looking to try and go ahead and get position. And this is what we call a crab ride in wrestling right here. Look at that choke. Fiedler's almost got a choke on Johnston.
Fiedler on the bottom, trying to avoid the choke. Johnston on the top, see what he can do with his back to Fiedler.
Keep working. It's good. Keep working.
Turning out of that crab ride a little bit up against the octagon.
Keep working.
And the toes. Watch the toes into the fence there as he tries to use it for leverage. So Johnston's got that left foot clinging to the octagon wall.
Go. Keep it working. Come on.
And Fiedler's doing what he should do. When your opponent's back is to you, you should go for the choke. And he's doing an excellent job of stretching Johnston out.
Fiedler is an iron worker.
He must have been a leg rider in wrestling. Look at him. He's up high over his opponent, both legs in, and now he's looking to go ahead and deliver some shots.
And he's punching right to the back of Johnston's head.
What we used to do here is called shake him off. You want to raise your backside as high as you can and shake the opponent off the top in front. This would really put Fiedler in a vulnerable position as well.
Good. Come on. Let's move out.
Well, two kickboxers, and what do we have? We've got a grappling match.
Who would have thought this? Both have wrestling experience, though, but I would have thought Johnston would have had a little bit more.
Now Fiedler gets his right hand free through a punch. Johnston breaks free. Johnston trying to get to the mount position. Lands a punch to Fiedler.
Now look for him to choke.
Another punch to the side of the head.
He's approaching it like a wrestling match. This isn't what Fiedler wants to do, and he's definitely cut. There's
And
some
that's
blood
it.
there.
John McCarthy steps in. Johnston was pounding at the back of Fiedler's head. He's upset.
Good job. Come here.
But Johnston landed too many good punches. Oh, Brian Johnston looks like an impressive newcomer.
Now, Johnston got caught for a while in a leg ride and looked as though Fiedler might have an opportunity to choke him out, but once he turned it around, the end was very quick and swift.
Well, you know, from age 12 to 22, Johnston was a freestyle wrestler. Then he learned judo at age 22 and decided he wanted to be a pro kickboxer. He went and trained with Xavier Mendez, who was world champion at the time, searched him out and found out, and he learned.
Double overhook to a leg trip there. Beautiful throw by Johnston, but unable to follow it up, so it's almost wasted. And here trying the same exact move again, cutting out that outside leg, causing the rotation over. That was right on top of Fiedler's head, but the big advantage coming out of this is Fiedler got on top. They struggle here. Johnston looking to get that leg lock, but unable to get it, and this is when Johnston took control. And this is when, finally, Johnston shook that high rider off, got around behind, and once he got behind, the end was very swift.
So Brian Johnston advances, 2:27 the time as the referee stops the contest. And the UFCs, as we've seen unfolded, have gotten longer in length each match. Here's our next matchup. Mark Coleman against Moti Horenstein. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for this upcoming bout. It's our third quarterfinal. Coleman, a wrestler, and a good one. Two-time All-American. Horenstein, survival is his discipline. Basically a full contact karate guy. These are two tough newcomers and two very impressive ones at that, but very different in their approaches. Here comes Mark Coleman, 1988 NCAA champion out of Ohio State, a Buckeye, a two-time Pan Am Games gold medalist, Olympic team member in '92. And he's working with guess who? Richard Hamilton, who has been with Fry and Severin along the way.
Well, Coleman is rugged. He's a big guy. He's a world-class wrestler. He tried out for this year's Olympic team and failed to make it. He wants to go to the ground, and once he gets there, he wants to strike. He has limited bare-knuckle experience in the octagon. The rumor on the street is he's had plenty of brawls.
Well, let's find out how Mark Coleman is taking things into account as he enters his first UFC.
I'm Mark Coleman. I represent the sport of freestyle wrestling. I plan to bring the UFC title back to Columbus, Ohio.
Mark Coleman's opponent, a different breed of fighter. Moti Horenstein from Spring Valley, New York, and he was born in Tel Aviv, Israel. Our first Israeli fighter. His discipline is survival. And recently, he was the Team USA Shidakan Tournament heavyweight champion in Chicago in April. Three-time Israeli karate champion. He can punch, he's got good power. Served 3 years in the Israeli military. He worked with the special forces and he taught self-defense. He works out with his brother Demore.
Horenstein, another good-looking guy, big guy, 240 pounds. He calls it survival, but again, this is a hybrid form of martial art combining many elements. Lifelong martial artist, military experience, so he was trained in special forces. He does fight on a regular basis, bare knuckle in karate tournaments, and he's a stand-up fighter. So this is a classic matchup between a striker and a grappler.
Let's meet Moti Horenstein.
Hi, my name is Moti Horenstein. I'm doing martial arts for a long time. From Survivor Center, we're doing everything for Survive. I'd like to say hi to my friends and students in Survivor Center in Rockland County, Spring Valley. I'd like to say hi to my friends in Deer Mountain Camp. And I'm here to get the belt and survive.
Well, he has been in martial arts since age 5. He was influenced by Bruce Lee movies. For the formal introductions, let's go up to Bruce Buffer.
We'll begin our next bout with the fighter to my left, a freestyle wrestler, a two-time Pan American and national freestyle champion, and a World Games silver medalist, and a 1992 Olympic team member. He's 31 years old, standing 6 feet, 1 inch tall, and weighing in at 245 pounds. Please welcome, from Columbus, Ohio, fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, Mark Coleman. And to my right, a 4th-degree black belt in the survival fighting system. He's also ranked in Kyokushin Karate, U.S. Oyama World Heavyweight, and American Shotokan Heavyweight. He's also a 3-time Israeli Karate champion. Fighting out of Spring Valley, New York, via Ra'anana, Israel. He's 31 years old, 6 feet, 2 inches tall, and weighing in at 230 pounds. Please welcome Moti Horenstein.
Well, Horenstein to me looks like a bigger version of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He certainly does. He certainly does. And it's going to be interesting to look at this kind of matchup. Even when you look at their heroes, they're absolutely polar in their disciplines. For Mark Coleman, it was Dave Schultz, who was earlier gunned down this year, Olympic champion. Moti Horenstein, Bruce Lee. So there you have their differences right away, striking and grappling.
And Coleman considered one of the best wrestlers in the world. We saw what Mark Schultz did in his debut in the UFC. Let's see what Coleman does.
It's Horenstein coming after him, deflects that first double.
Coleman takes him down.
And we're in the guard here.
A big punch by Coleman to the face of Horenstein. Moti covering up. And Moti trying to roll out of there. Didn't want that face wide open. Coleman with the elbow to the back.
Horenstein here might be overpowered. Coleman very tough here. He's just not going to let Horenstein go. He'll be able to keep him down.
Horenstein good on his feet. Also adept on the ground, but probably not in the same class as Coleman.
Certainly not when it comes to winning a wrestling duel between who's going to get the takedown. Coleman got the takedown.
Coleman has shown us a little bit of everything.
And Coleman now is thinking, this was the worry I had about a wrestler coming in and just coming out and just going nuts and not getting what he wants and suddenly being burned out and frustrated. He's now taking his time. They're right in front of Richard Hamilton, his trainer. He can take direction, and if he wants to, take a blow by getting close to his opponent, breathe, separate, and go ahead and start striking again.
Right hand by Coleman. You saw him triple up that right hand before, and not many guys know that who aren't in boxing. Well, Richard Hamilton's been very successful in the UFC. He's got another one here in Coleman. Trained out of Grand Canyon.
I've seen a lot of these fighters now turn their back on their opponent. I can't believe they're doing it. Coleman better be careful. He circles towards the head, and he might find himself catching a knee. He's past the guard. He's past the guard. Now he wants to mount. Now he wants to mount. He wants to get his right knee over the top and sit right down on his opponent's lap.
Had a side mount position momentarily. Now Coleman looking to try to unleash the right hand. Not too much damage there.
Glancing.
Right.
Close, but glancing.
Horenstein might be best off here trying to get back to his feet.
That's what you want to do when you pass the guard, is use every weapon as it comes to bear. If he concentrates on your hands, bring your knee up.
Choke, choke, choke.
Horenstein using those legs. He's got very good kicking ability, but somewhat neutralized when you're in that type of defensive posture.
Well, he's elbowing what appears to be Coleman's right thigh. Oh, that's going to end it.
Coleman, a couple of bombs to Horenstein, and that ended it. Big John McCarthy said no more. Moti is okay. Coleman, wow, he's got to be calmed down. He didn't even want to stop.
Well, he's a little excited. First time in there, break the ice. He'll calm down.
And now he gets a big hug from Moti Horenstein.
And returns the hug. And he returns the hug.
Very nice.
Let's have a big hand for our winner, Mark Coleman.
Punches to the head were the big story there.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big hand to our other
Coleman
fighter.
passes his first test in the octagon. A lot of people who are familiar with the UFC said that they look for a Fry-Coleman showdown in the finals. Coleman on top. What you want to do is get separation, and when you get the right separation and can time it, follow it with the punch, and there it was. 1, 2, and at this point, he's defenseless when he covers up. Good job by John McCarthy.
Even though he missed the third punch, John said enough.
Oh, when he covers up like that, that's not a defense. That's a, hey, please, no more. Right there. It's almost as though he should have tapped out.
You know, you really can't, though. You got to protect yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. McCarthy, a great job there. You could see the punching power of Coleman when it's on a direct line.
2:43 the time, so Mark Coleman is victorious. And he, as you said, passes his first test. Wanted to share with you how the times have changed. In our first UFC, it was 1:37, the average length of a match. And by the 7th UFC, it had swelled to 5:08. So that pattern has been continuing all the way up here to UFC 10.
And that's nothing but evolution, Bruce. As these fighters learn what mixed martial arts is all about, they start to retain the basics of the guard, how to protect yourself when on the ground.
Here's our next bout. Final one of the quarterfinals. John Campatella against Gary Big Daddy Goodridge. And there's some muscles. There's some muscles in this one.
This has got to be the combined biggest bicep fight in the world.
Here's the tale, 263 to 235, so that's almost a quarter ton in the ring in the octagon tonight. One from Ontario, one from New York. Let's meet our first competitor in this bout, John Staten Island, New York, second-degree black belt in Vadha Kempo Karate. He teaches at 2 American Vadha Kempo schools. He's a high school biology teacher at Lincoln High School in Brooklyn, New York. He's completing his master's at Staten Island College. He's been in martial arts for 12 years.
And he is one strong, physical-looking specimen. Former wrestler, limited bare-knuckle experience. If he's as good in wrestling as his background indicates, it's probably going to come down to a ground battle.
All right, let's find out a little bit more about the man whose name is John Campatella.
Okay, I'm John Campatella from Staten Island, New York. I practice American Vada Kempo. Waited a long time to test my skills in the octagon. I finally have my chance. I'm looking forward to the competition.
Well, he says it's all about showing what is effective in a fighting system. That's what the UFC is all about, and I want to show how a lot of that fits into what we do in Vadha Kempo Karate.
His trainer is Frank Barone, instructor Professor John Salvaggio.
Let's meet his opponent, the Big Daddy, Gary Goodridge. He's from Barrie, Ontario. The 93 Canadian Amateur Super Heavyweight Boxing Champion. He was the runner-up in UFC 8. He's 2-2 in the octagon. He lost to Mark Schultz when the referee stopped the contest prior to OT in UFC 9 in a bout fight card. Arm wrestler, 15 years. Once put down 1,000 men in a row in 2 hours in Japan. He's got experience that Campatella does not have.
Exactly, and we've seen that as a huge advantage in here, knowing exactly what you're going to run into and knowing how to deal with the nerves surrounding entering the octagon and dealing with fighters away from the octagon.
Here's a look at Big Daddy's martial arts cross-training style.
Power over technique. He's somebody that wants to use what God-given power he has, and he's got punches. Limited ground skills, though he does know the guard. He's a knockout puncher, and we saw with devastating effect what he can do with his elbows. He will strike on the ground.
You know what? Big Daddy has been accused of a lot of things. Nice guy trying to be mean, mean guy trying to be nice. You decide for yourself. Tough talk's over. It's time to get nasty.
So here at the Alabama State Fair Arena in Birmingham, Alabama, we're ready for our 4th quarterfinal bout of the evening. Bruce Buffer to lead us through.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for our last first round bout of the evening. Starting to my left, a second-degree black belt in the art of Vadha Kempo. He's appearing for the first time in the octagon. He's 27 years old, 5 feet 9 inches tall, and weighing in at 235 pounds. He's fighting out of Staten Island, New York. Let's hear it for John Campatella. And to my right, standing at 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighing in at 263 pounds. He's 30 years old, a second-degree black belt in martial art cross-training. He's a 4th-degree black belt in Kuk Sul Wan, the 1993 Canadian Amateur Super Heavyweight Boxing Champion, the UFC 8 runner-up, and he's 2-2 in UFC competition. You know him as the Big Daddy. His name is Gary Goodridge.
So it's Goodridge against Campatella. Campatella from well-known Lincoln High School in Brooklyn, New York, same high school that produced the likes of Lou Gossett Jr. and Marv Albert and Stefan Marbury.
Well, heroes for Campatella, Lee and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And for Goodridge, Martin Luther King.
Up against the back of the octagon wall. Goodridge.
Oh, fireman's carry.
Iron throw.
Nothing there.
Back to their feet. Quick knee by Campatella.
Uppercut.
Good right hand by Campatella.
This might be the first person in which Goodridge has felt somebody equally as powerful with the arms.
Another uppercut by Campatella. Oh, he punched to the back of the head. Now Goodridge winging his elbow out. Got a lot of brute force in there.
Unbelievable power between these two, particularly the upper body. Let's see how long Campatella can go. And Goodridge goes to the ground. He hooked it up and he pulled him right down, and he's probably going to test him here. Look for a submission, see how well versed Campatella is in trying to pass the guard.
So Goodridge in the guard. Let's see what Gary can do. He lost to Don Fry in the finals of UFC 8. Lost his bout 9, back for the 3rd straight time.
Interesting, he's got his robe, the gi, the arm sleeves rolled up, which means he can't really use them as a grip with one hand to hold Campatella.
Nice move by Gary Big Daddy Goodridge.
Oh,
left
good
hand.
left hand.
Another left hand. Look out, it's over. 3 left hands in a row by Big Daddy. And McCarthy stepped right in. A sudden reversal and a surge of power from Big Daddy.
Wow. Well, that left eye looks pretty closed up already for Campatella. John McCarthy sticking by his call.
Gary Goodridge.
Crowd, I don't know if they're happy about this one.
They're not, because Campatella still is very much there physically, but you can see the damage to his left eye. It's nearly closed right now. And McCarthy thought those 2 unabated hard shots by Goodridge was the beginning of some real bad damage, and he ended it.
Here's another look at it.
Well, Campatella was on top. Goodridge had the guard on him. And somehow Goodridge was able to reverse that situation, which led to that final struggle. Campatella in. As soon as Goodridge put that underhook, he went for a fireman's carry here, a typical wrestling move. This is where Paul Herrera cut some mean elbows. Campatella able to avoid it, get out. Goodridge able to get back to his feet. And then after the reversal, there was that first shot. Then there. And again, those were the 3-4 shots in a row, and McCarthy had seen enough, and there was some good damage to the left eye, stopped it from getting worse.
Another look, Jeff.
1. Clean shot in there, unabated. 2, 3, and 1 more for good measure, and that's when McCarthy said, hey, 4 in a row, good shots, that's enough.
And here's the Big Daddy's reaction. He had to work for it. He was in against a very, very strong guy. I think the first time he went in there against someone who had raw power similar to his own. But Goodridge advances. So we had 4 ref stops contest in the opening round. Wild action in the UFC. Let's take a look at what has transpired thus far tonight in the Alabama State Fair Arena in Birmingham. First it was Don the Predator Fry. Took him 10 minutes and 23 seconds before the ref stopped the contest in the bout against Mark Hall. Then Brian Johnston. He went 2:27 before the ref stopped it against Scotty Fiedler. Then it was Mark Coleman, 2:43 against Moti Horenstein. Again, McCarthy stepped in. And finally, Gary Goodridge taking the least amount of time. Short work of John Campatella, 1:27, and the ref stopped the contest there. All right, it's Don Fry against Brian Johnston. Tank will stick with us for this semifinal match. It should be a good one. Johnston in his debut tonight was a victor in 2:27 over Scott Fiedler. Here's the tail of the tape. It's wrestling against kickboxing. 8-pound advantage for Johnston. He's also got a 3-inch height advantage, but he's up against the guy who's 5-0, still undefeated in the octagon, the Predator, Don Fry. Let's bring in the Fry Man, Don Fry, the Predator, who continues to roll. It took him 10:23 to put away Mark Hall in his opening bout. He's got a mean streak that runs 10 generations deep. Pennsylvania Dutch, Irish, Scottish, Cherokee warrior. A 3-time state champion in wrestling in high school. He sees himself as a combination of Marco Huas and Oleg Tektarov. Let's listen in to the Predator, Don Fry.
Same thing as before.
I'm Don Fry. My strategy for this next fight is exactly as the last one. I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to destroy this man.
You going to be up here? Okay.
Fry's opponent is Brian Johnston, the kickboxer who hails from San Jose, California. Almost took a match versus Oleg Taktarov as a last-minute substitute for Pat Smith, but the match never came to fruition. He's working with a guy named Mike Swain, who's this year's Olympic judo coach. I'll grapple or punch with anybody, says Johnston. He's working out with the San Jose State judo team. He compares his style to guess who? Don Fry. He's also working with trainer James Thompson, putting everything together, the kicks, the punches, the grappling.
Xavier Menendez is his other instructor and workout partner. Trains at the American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose, California.
All right, let's hear once again from Mr. Brian Johnston.
I feel that the combination of judo and kickboxing makes me a very versatile fighter, and I guess we'll find out when I fight my next opponent.
All right, we're set to go for the formal introduction. Semifinal number 1, Fry against Johnston. Here's Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the second round of competition? Then let's go. Standing to my left at 6 feet, 1 inch tall, and weighing in at 214 pounds. He's a 30-year-old, a Greco-Roman wrestler with a second-degree black belt in the art of judo. Fighting out of Sierra Vista, Arizona, undefeated in the octagon. Please welcome the defending Ultimate Fighting Champion, the Predator, Don Fry. And to my right, a kickboxer with a record of 12-0 in amateur competition. He holds a black belt in judo and is the reigning Northern California Golden Glove Super Heavyweight Champion. 26 years old, 6 feet, 4 inches tall, and weighing in at 222 pounds. Fighting out of San Jose, California, let's welcome Brian Johnston.
All right, Tank, what are your thoughts going into this fight? Tank, give me your thoughts.
Well, I would have to go with the Fry man. I have to go with Magnum PI.
The Predator.
What does Johnston have to do in your opinion here, Tank?
Throw the towel in.
That quickly?
I don't know.
That quickly?
You know what? You can never tell when you step into the octagon, and he looked pretty tough before. I kind of like how everybody's got gloves on now. What's happening?
Let's get it
Perhaps
on.
you showed him something there, Tank.
You have set the style. Here we go. Fry and Johnston.
Not bad. Not bad. Looks good. We got to fight, gentlemen.
Fry in tight now, pushing Johnston up against the octagon fence. Knee to the midsection. And Johnston is throwing some heavy leather there.
Keep in mind, Fry threw a lot of punches in the first fight with that right hand.
That's nothing right there.
Up against the chain link fence.
And grappling now taking hold as they bind and clinch.
I like his shorts. They're right in front of me. The flag. It's Olympic time. Jeff's going to relate with that. There's a foot sweep right there.
Right hand landed by Johnston.
Another right hand there.
Maybe I was wrong. Starting to sound like George Foreman.
That's okay to change your tune once in a while. Knee by Johnston. Another knee.
Those are nearly finding their mark. You got to figure that Fry, even though he's in great shape, worked a lot harder than Johnston did in that first fight.
It was about an 8-minute difference, Jeff.
And Johnston isn't backing down at all.
No, not at all. I take back what I said. Will you call me George?
Fry now looking as though he might have a little bit of fatigue, but this just could be a real good surge by Johnston.
They've been on their feet the entire fight. Knees have been the punch or the throw that's been used the most. Right hand by Johnston.
There it is.
And Johnston here seeming to get the better of Don Fry.
And he's relaxed. Yeah. That's very key. You got to be relaxed. Don't blow your wad all at once.
He looks confident, Tank.
Yes.
Johnston has a background, supposedly a long background in wrestling, 10 years, and it didn't seem that he really did much against Fiedler in that first match. It seemed that he was being out-wrestled, but here he's controlling, he's keeping Fry off of him, and it's him who's doing the better punching at this point.
If you don't know how to wrestle, you don't know how to fight. That's the prerequisite to fighting.
Now that warms my heart more than the Olympics right now.
Good right hand by Fry. Fry's back against the chain link fence.
He really seems as though he's fatigued.
Well, this is the first fighter that he's fought that's of size. There's a hug. There's a hug. Push your hips out. He's out of that.
Well, Goodridge has size, but it seems
right now there's the hug.
There's
the hug.
Fry's got control.
Get to your feet right now.
And
right now is a perfect stand-up.
I agree with Tank right now. Johnston doesn't want to stay down because I think
come up now.
Without a doubt, Fry is a better wrestler than Fiedler.
Well, it looked like Severn slapping me in the head right there. That don't do anything.
Fry has got a lot of blood right now on his forehead. I'm not sure if that's coming from Johnston or from Fry.
That don't hurt. Post a leg and get up. Right there you are.
A
He's got the
elbows by Fry.
Looks like Fry's riding the clock right now. I mean, he's behind the second hand. Let's try to take him out. Let's not sit around and wait for a buzzer.
He's using the left hand. That's what he can throw from that position.
He's too high. If he got up on his toes and started shaking, Fry's going to fall out front. You agree with me on that, Joe?
Well, this is what he did with Fiedler, but I would say that Fry's a little bit more experienced in wrestling than Fiedler is, and he might know what to do to counter him.
Right, now he's back. Now he's back. He's got his hips under him. He's all right.
There are chants of USA right now in this arena in Birmingham, and that's for Johnston wearing the red, white, and blue trunks. They're going for the underdog.
Johnston doesn't want to stay under here that long. Tank's right. He wants to get out.
There you go. Hand control. There you go. Keep going. No, you shouldn't have done that. Hand control and get out and fight from your feet.
Basic rule of wrestling on the bottom. Hand control first, then move your body. He didn't have hand control. He tried to roll, got caught, and
no, don't belly down. Now he's in trouble.
Side mount here. A big right
Watch
hand.
that knee. Watch Johnston's knee.
Tap out. Tap out for 37.
And Don Fry survives a tough encounter. He looks tired.
Yeah, Don Fry had his first fight in the UFC, in my opinion.
Very good fight, Tank.
By Superman in Superman's underwear.
Don Fry wins it on the tap out. Very good action.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was
Johnston
some battle, don't you
good
think?
for a while, but when he ended up on the ground, Tank, that's not where he wanted to be.
No, absolutely.
And a big hand.
He did a hell of a job. You got to take your hats off to both of these guys. Anybody that steps into the octagon's got to have major size.
Here's a look at the specific numbers for this upcoming battle. Goodridge 263, Coleman at 245. Goodridge has the height advantage. It's U.S. against Canada, Columbus, Ohio against Barrie, Ontario. And in the Olympic year, there's always a special spirit when you get involved with nations battling against each other this time.
Oh, without a doubt. And actually, this is going to be Coleman's birth into the UFC. This is his first experienced fighter he'll take on.
Mark Coleman first to head to the octagon. First UFC for the silver medalist in the World Games, the Olympic team member in '92, two-time national freestyle champion. I don't think anyone can hold me on my back, he said. I'll just come up and get on top and use elbows. I'm doing this for all the freestyle wrestlers. I don't want to let them down. I know I'm coming in green, says Coleman, but I'm confident my instincts will take over and things will go my way.
Well, in his first fight, it certainly did go his way. He dominated, got on top, and after some struggle in learning how to pass the guard, particularly under a fight environment, he passed the test, punishing his first-round opponent, Moti Horenstein.
Well, if you didn't hear from Mark Coleman earlier, Here's a chance to hear from him once again.
My name is Mark Coleman. My basic strategy is use my freestyle wrestling skills to get my opponent to the mat as quickly as possible, finish him off with some knees and elbows, or look for the choke.
Mark Coleman coming off his first victory in the UFC in 243 over Moti Hornstein when the referee stopped the contest. His opponent is Big Daddy Gary Goodridge. He had a tough battle. It went only a minute 27, but he was up against a furious John Campatella, a welder at an auto plant just outside of Barrie, Ontario. He studied law, security, and business administration at Georgian College in Barrie, Ontario. He says UFC is like arm wrestling. It's a game of chess, moves and counter moves. He calls himself a gentle giant. I beg to disagree.
Not after what happened to Haran. That label got removed very quickly as he elbowed his opponent into submission. And he'll be looking to do the same to a very strapping Mark Coleman. Coleman will face his person that's equally as strong as he in Gary Goodridge.
Well, he says his mom called him Goody 4 years ago. It changed to Big Daddy. Let's listen in.
All right. You've seen Big Daddy work now. You've seen what I'm all about. You'll see a lot of it more next round.
Set to go. Coleman, Goodridge. Winner gets Fry in UFC 10. The tournament returns. Here's Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last fight of our second round competition begins with the fighter on my left, a freestyle wrestler, a two-time Pan American and national freestyle champion, a World Games silver medalist, and a 1992 Olympic team member. He's 31 years old, standing 6 feet, 1 inch tall, and weighing in at 245 pounds. Please welcome from Columbus, Ohio, fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, Mark Coleman. And to my right, standing at 6 feet, 3 inches tall, and weighing in at 263 pounds. He's 30 years old and a second-degree black belt in martial arts cross-training. He's a fourth-degree black belt in Kuk Sool Won. He's also the 1993 Canadian Amateur Super Heavyweight Boxing Champion, the UFC 8 runner-up, and he's 2-2 in UFC competition. You know him as the Big Daddy Gary Goodridge.
All right, Big Daddy against Coleman. What do you think, Jeff?
This is too close to call, but I'd have to go with... I'm going to have to go with Coleman with superior grappling skill, but boy, I'll tell you, Goodridge is dangerous, but Campatella gave him a heck of a fight for as long as it lasted. There's the shot.
Coleman takes him down. Goodridge quickly gets to the guard.
And here's somebody that's really powerful. Coleman is not weak at all. He is very, very strong. He may not have the same size arms as Goodridge, but with all that wrestling and he's still in his physical prime, he is extremely tough.
And this is a bout which might go a while.
Well, it's going to come down to here whether or not Coleman can solve the guard. If he can, watch out for Gary Goodridge.
Oh, good headbutt there by Coleman. And I'll tell you, the gi is not going to be a positive for Goodridge because it's hot in here. The humidity is very high. Let's see if Coleman takes his time and just picks his spots, Jeff. He's got lots of wrestling experience and knows the patience of the virtue.
I'll tell you, those, even though they were sideways punches, you could feel it. You could feel it through the octagon padding.
That octagon, 750 square feet of face, 32 feet across.
With Coleman's background in wrestling, and this, I don't mean to harp on wrestling. Yes, I am a wrestler, but without a doubt, he can keep an opponent down, particularly the elite level that Coleman competed at. He competed in the Olympic trials this year, missing the team, so he's still very good at the sport.
I believe he lost to Dan Slade. He finished 6th. He beat Mark Kern. He had a pretty good run. He's been working with kickboxers, wrestlers, and grapplers and submission guys.
Kerr is supposedly another one of the wrestlers, potentially, who might be coming to the UFC. See how Coleman does here.
Coleman schooled by Richard Hamilton right now.
Team Phoenix.
Goodridge is not panicking in any way. He's just very relaxed.
Biding his time. This is the big test. This is the baptism for Coleman.
Royce Gracie was the first to show how patience can work.
Squeeze the throat. Keep working. Good. Back him to the flat. Yes.
Trying to catch the guard. He did it.
Good move by Coleman. Got Goodridge up against the fence.
That's where he wanted to choke, but there's no room for him to really come over the top.
Gary to his knees.
Watch for suplex. Also watch for that Goodridge elbow.
Right, and Coleman caught the elbow.
Oh, an uppercut by Coleman.
Nice move, trying to set him up for the suplex. Got to get his hands off that chain link fence.
If he's going to hang on to the fence, he wants to do it directly in front of his face so no fist can come flying in. That's what I would do, a knee right to the coxswain there. The lower tailbone.
Another uppercut.
And he's mixing it up well. He's going to low on the body with strikes and then high. And look at Goodridge. He wants to move. By moving, that doesn't allow Coleman to strike with his knees.
Oh, look at this.
This is the first time we've seen this tactic.
The first time we've seen somebody just scale the wall of the octagon horizontally.
Oh, he wants to get near his people to listen. That's what he wanted to do.
What a great move by Goodridge. Unbelievable. Being tutored on the fly.
But he's taking punishment in the process.
An uppercut again by Coleman. Another one to the back of the head, one to the front. It doesn't matter what the advice is if he's getting pounded like that.
All right, he's turning to face Coleman now. Now the knees can come into play both ways. What he's got to be careful of is he took the 3 rides with Mark Schultz heavily onto his back, and he turns the tide on Coleman. Coleman now pinned against the fence.
Coleman using his knee defensively as Goodridge scores.
Smart tactic. And now he's got the underhook back, and he will assume the position.
It's a stand-up octagon affair. Another left chopping uppercut. Plenty of fury in that punch by Coleman.
Coleman showing good knowledge and versatility on how to attack his opponent from different positions.
Goodridge showing plenty of patience and poise.
As an Ohio State wrestler, his coach once told me that he felt the UFC was the perfect event for Mark Coleman. He coached him, he knew him well. He said he's a brawler kind of wrestler. Not perfect technique, but what he lacked in technique, he made up for with brute strength and heart. And with training from Richard Hamilton here, he seems effective against Gary Goodridge thus far.
5:25 in. There's a 12-minute time limit with 1 3-minute overtime.
It only take one of those elbows to make Coleman a victim. And we already know how powerful Goodridge is with them. And there he was looking perhaps for a choke.
A clean break. Here comes Big Daddy. He looks mean and ready.
Watch for Coleman to try and go ahead and take him down again.
Oh, Big Daddy's on a mission here. Coleman faking with the punches. Both continue to circle.
Coleman breathing hard.
Yes, he is. Goodridge not breathing poorly at all. Right hand by Coleman. Goodridge misses.
There's the double.
Coleman's got him on the takedown. And there's that power and the experience on the mat.
Great double leg. That gi also helped him. He grabbed right onto the gi, and Goodridge is now in some trouble.
Coleman lands a barrage of right hands.
None of them real clean. None of them the real bomb that he was looking for.
Couple got through. There's a knee to the head. Just keep it at bay.
A pretty good tactic. Again, he's mixing it up with both lower and upper body strikes.
This is the concept of
look for the choke. Now he wants.
There it is. It's a tap out. He got him. Mark Coleman is into the finals of his first UFC.
Good job, brother. Yep. Good man.
Wow. 7 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, was that a good fight or what?
A tap out. And Big Daddy goes out with valor.
Well, he put a double grapevine in him, and he took the hips out of Goodridge. It really flattened his chest down. He couldn't get his arms under him. Perhaps he felt he was in such a vulnerable situation. That's why he tapped out. Coleman living up to his reputation.
Yep.
Let's have a big
He is into the finals.
Mark
Coleman. 31 years of age. The 88 NCAA champion at Ohio State. Here's a look at the uppercuts with Big Daddy perched against the wall, holding on after moving furiously along the fence. Again, this time he faces them, and they break away, get back to a standing position. And Goodridge looked very focused. He had a sense of what he wanted to do here. Wanted to turn it into a boxing match, but instead it ended up back on the mat. Look at this double leg. It's textbook. Takes him down, and after that he was able to utilize his grappling skills with a little bit of punching power thrown in. Here's the tap out. Watch Goodridge closely. He's looking for the choke. He sinks the arms in, and Goodridge at that point said no mas. This is what has transpired. Don Frye into the finals against Mark Coleman. Frye a winner in the semis over Brian Johnston. And then in the other semifinal match, it was Mark Coleman over Gary Big Daddy Goodridge. There was a tap out, by the way. Capitella tapped out. Big John McCarthy told me that. So there were only 3 ref stop contests and 1 tap out in that opening round. Well, the crowd is ready here in Birmingham, Alabama, the Magic City, a city of culture as well as steel, the modern progressive city. Alabama State Fair Arena packed tonight. They've had concerts here, rodeo, tennis, basketball, and tonight the UFC. And here's our matchup for the championship. The Predator Don Frye against Mark Coleman. Debut for Coleman. Frye undefeated thus far. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for this championship bout. Coleman is 31 pounds heavier, and they're both 6'1". Arizona for Frye. Coleman from Midwest Columbus, Ohio. Mark Coleman will enter the octagon first, and here comes that walk. All the hard work and energy. How does it translate in the octagon? You've already fought twice, and now you got to fight again. And Dan, you've been there before.
I'll tell you, the walk to the octagon in itself, I mean, this is something that I just fire up on here, Bruce. I mean, just walking there, hearing that crowd starting to come alive for you. It's a big mental aspect here right now.
The octagon with the 2 lock gates, the tight canvas skin pad, the 5'6" padded walls on top of a chain link fence. 750 square feet of space. Reputations have been built and destroyed in there. Fighting systems judged and found wanting.
Well, Coleman is a master grappler, strong background in wrestling, world-class Olympian, and he makes no bones about it. I'm coming to take you down to the ground, elbows, knees, and fists, and he shows that he can punch.
Another comment from Mark Coleman regarding the UFC.
I've made it to the championship fight. I'll be using my freestyle wrestling skills to bring back the title to Columbus, Ohio.
So Coleman is ready. And now the man who will either stalk him or be his prey. The Predator, Don Frye. 6-0 in the UFC. The UFC 8 champion. Undefeated. A mean streak. A wrestling background.
And to many, Bruce, they feel he is the best all-around fighter simply because he possesses great skill both on the ground and in the standing position, what they call versatility. He has got pro boxing experience, and we have seen in previous fights, he has got great power in short punches, very good grappling skills. Prefers a stand-up fight, but that's something that I think people interpret. He's good on the ground as well, and he is a heavy hitter when those punches come in clean.
Well, we asked every fighter before the competition tonight how they would react to being in a championship bout, so don't think that we knew who these two were going to be, because this event is far from choreographed, folks, I can tell you that. Here's Don Frye on making it to the final.
I'm Don Frye. I'm here in the finals for another championship. It's all mine, baby. Money in the bank.
We are ready for the formal introductions. Let's go up to Bruce Buffer.
Tell me, Birmingham, Alabama, are you ready? Are you ready? This is our last and final championship bout of the evening. Starting on my left, a freestyle wrestler, a two-time Pan American and National Freestyle Champion, a World Games silver medalist and a 1992 Olympic team member. He's 31 years old, 6 feet, 1 inch tall, and weighing in at 245 pounds. Please welcome from Columbus, Ohio, fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, Mark Coleman. And to my right, standing at 6 feet, 1 inch tall, and weighing in at 214 pounds. He's a 30-year-old and a Greco-Roman wrestler with a second-degree black belt in the art of judo. Fighting out of Sierra Vista, Arizona, undefeated in the octagon. Please welcome the defending Ultimate Fighting Champion, the Predator, Don Frye.
15 total minutes tonight in the octagon for Frye, 9:43 for Coleman, but Frye had the longer rest period. Last thoughts from Dan Severn regarding this fight.
Well, I tell you, this is the interesting part right now. Both men facing each other. I mean, the mind game is being set.
For the
this
championship,
is when
are you ready?
says it's time to go.
Are you ready?
This is it.
Let's get it on!
Here we go. Championship of UFC 10. The tournament is back.
It'll be interesting here whether Coleman can get inside, and I don't think Frye spent very much time on the ground. On his back, he hasn't been in the guard too many times. I'm sure he's versed in it.
Oh, good quick move.
That's called a short drag off that front headlock sprawl. Great job by Coleman.
Coleman hits the back of Frye's head and then chops shortly to the body. Frye's got a good grip on that left hand of Coleman.
And having come off the Olympic trials and wrestling being a short burst sport, 5-minute matches, you got to know that Coleman is going to be in some pretty good shape, particularly being able to keep an intense pace early.
Both men are just manipulating for positions right now, trying to keep control of each other, looking to create that opening.
And they're looking at a guard situation now.
Coleman backs up Frye into the fence and lands a right hand, a couple more.
Don's got to create space here right now, keep Coleman extended, so Coleman cannot land the strikes. Coleman is driving in.
15-minute time limit with 3-minute overtime sessions in the final.
You know, when we talk about tactics, this is kind of one of the reasons a lot of the wrestlers like to wear the shoes out here, because this canvas, you know, it has kind of it's a tight, you know, it's a little bit slippery. They want to go for that gripping power with the feet. They'd rather short change themselves on the kicking aspect and go for their strength.
To create the environment on the ground.
Exactly.
Well, Don Frye undefeated in the octagon. No one is undefeated that has lasted at least 3.
We have blood on Frye's face. I can't tell if it is his, but...
And he had a mouse before the bout underneath the right eye a little bit.
This is an awful lot of power, and Fry is not used to that. And boy, I'll tell you, Coleman's getting in with some of those punches.
Coleman continues to back Fry near the chain link fence.
Then coming up, he's looking for a striking aspect. John's trying to keep him extended so that Coleman cannot land.
And Fry showing us pretty good strength in his legs here. Coleman back in position, lands a punch right in front of us and a headbutt. Fry's bleeding pretty good now.
The cut seems to be up on his forehead.
More punches from Coleman. A plethora of right hands.
None of them are real clean. Fry's doing the job of deflecting most of that. That's a lot of energy that Coleman's spending there. Dan, does Don have the proficiency of even a half a Gracie in the guard position? Does he know good submission?
He's actually been working quite a bit off to the bottom here right now. But like I said, he's facing a very powerful individual. Again, with all the grappling background that Mark Coleman has, you know, he knows how to maintain position.
There's one thing that I'll always remember about Royce Gracie. He said he spent half his life on his back learning the guard. Half his life. And I don't think any wrestler has ever spent that much time on his back, or they wouldn't be in wrestling.
It's foreign territory for a wrestler.
Another right hand by Coleman, had the side mount momentarily, rolled back on top of Fry.
And this is just a very big grappler taking on a large grappler, and that difference in size and power right now has been the difference. Coleman dominating.
Only 3:15 gone by, seems longer than that. It's been pretty much the same way with Coleman on top of Don Fry.
And Fry doing a great job here of deflecting Coleman's strikes.
You know, maybe only just 3.5 minutes have gone by, but I tell you, there's a lot of action. These men are turning out a great deal of energy out here.
Great job by Fry there, deflecting that left hand of Coleman. Fry showing the strength and the will in a position he hasn't been that often. In the guard.
I mean, Dan, do you have a time when the man's breathing when to strike the rib? Try to catch him right after he exhales so that it really bothers him trying to pull air in?
That's an interesting thought there, but at the same token, Jeff, I just don't think anyone...
He's working for a choke.
That could be a choke, but Fry able to use the fence to get out.
Oh, great move by Fry.
And Coleman did a cardinal sin in wrestling. He didn't turn the opponent in. By not turning him in, that really hurt. He gave Fry a chance.
I don't know. Coleman looks tired here. I mean, both. I mean, Don took a great deal of punishment just then. Coleman's showing the fatigue factor, I think, too.
Well, he certainly put everything he had into that short duration. Well, it took almost 5 minutes.
Coleman's backing up. He's going to use the fence to launch off. See how the back foot is moving? He's going to push off.
Is that a tactic that Hamilton teaches?
No, I think that's just a grappler's tactic right there.
5 minutes in. Coleman drenched in his own sweat right
there. He is. He came in.
Good move by Coleman.
Waited for the cross,
knee to the face,
and he took Fry to the mat.
If Coleman's going to turn around, he's being over in the corner where his entourage is right now. He's going to get a lot of coaching right now.
He looked frustrated when he stood back up there, Dan, like, what do I have to do to get this guy out?
I'll tell you, I mean, Don is a workhorse out there. I mean, he, you know, just being in practice with him, he goes through so much out there.
And that's also an evolution of a wrestler turned grappler turned fighter. He doesn't know how to fully finish yet. Give Coleman time, and he is going to be just like a Dan Severn. He will get better with age.
Well, Coleman got a couple of punches in there, and once again, he's being very smart by keeping Fry controlled up against the fence, Dan.
Yeah, he's utilizing that's just great strategy. You know, if you can drive your opponent to one direction, he has only one direction really to come back out. Then he can shoot the stop out.
I'm not sure if that's a tap out. This could just be blood. This is blood.
He wants the doctor to take a look at Fry's face. There was no tap out.
You got to do something, son. You understand me?
There was no rough stuff contest. McCarthy wants the face cleared. He wants Dr. Richard Istrico to look at his face.
And looking at Mark Coleman on the far side of the ring, you're looking at Fry right now and the cut on his face, but Coleman was hands on his knees. He was originally leaning with his forehead on the fence in fatigue.
Well, Dr. Istrico is going to allow it to continue.
That was a very short visit. Superficial cut.
Leon Tabs, a quick look. Fry's got a mouse underneath that left eye.
Turn your ass around.
And underneath the right eye as well.
Oh no, you ready? You ready?
Coleman actually asked how much time is left, and the referee couldn't tell him. So he must be suffering from some fatigue. Let's see if Fry throws those uppercuts to try to catch Coleman when he's coming down and then to try to take the legs out.
6:20 in, 15-minute time limit, 2 3-minute overtime sessions. Don Fry against Mark Coleman for the championship.
Again, Bruce, you're looking at two great competitors out there, stalking each other around. They've exerted so much energy out here so far.
And it seemed funny. It almost looked like a wrestling match. Fry retreated to the center, and Coleman wanted to follow him. If you don't want to go to the center, you don't have to in the octagon.
Fry switches to southpaw here.
Coleman again is, retreating back to the fence line. I think, that's what he capitalized on the time before. He let Fry move in, pushed off actually the fence, so he had a good solid footing underneath it.
Coleman better watch Fry's right hand. It is excellent when he sets it up.
He's back in the fence here now, Bruce. He's going to be looking for a shot. There it is.
He's just not big enough to compete with Coleman in a grappling match. At this point, he's just not big enough. He's got a double. He's got Coleman in a double, but does he have the juice to get him up in the air and down?
Coleman uses the fence for leverage.
And that's going to end the double leg. Those shots to the head. He has to let go and protect himself.
Don actually should be trying to be utilizing right now is actually using the fence and start to pull himself up. Use arms and leg and the back power right now.
Good advice from the champ, but you got to wonder how much power can the man have against such a big opponent.
Exactly. And when it comes to these matches, they can be one technique-wise. You can use not only just octagon strategy, but then your match strategy out there. Utilize the octagon to your benefit.
Dan, he's got a 31-pound weight advantage, but more importantly, he's more adept on the mat, where those 31 pounds mean more.
And that length. Coleman is a longer wrestler, so it gives him a much stronger base when he spreads his legs. And of course, that arm reach is going to help in closing the distance that the guard is trying to make separation with. And I think that's a big advantage for Coleman when he's trying to launch those bombs at Fry.
That's what you see right now. You're just seeing where the wrestling technique is coming. Coleman's got the legs in right now. He's controlling Don, and he's just looking to create openings.
Is this riding the clock?
I don't know. I'd say it's a good strategy.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at what they do in football. Don't let a good quarterback have the ball. Well, don't let a good fighter fight in the medium he's best at.
Exactly.
Good point, Jeff. Keep the ball on the ground, right up the middle.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, Ohio State was great at that over the years with guys like Earthquake Enyart and others. So Mark Coleman following in that Ohio State tradition.
Coleman now using an elbow. That's the first one we saw this match. Let's see if he'll go for that choke. When they're behind here, you wonder, why isn't he choking? This is the power Nelson. This is pure wrestling technique. And there's the choke. There's a choke looking for there, but he's not able to really sink it in tight because he's under the arm.
And also the sweat makes for a difficult choke.
Very difficult time to get the opponent out there.
I really think Coleman Fry is now on top. Coleman is very tired.
Is in position to unleash a right hand if he can gather control of Coleman.
And here's where the power comes in.
Pick up by Coleman. Look out. Look at his power. But Fry ran down to the fence. And Coleman ran into a punch.
Oh!
Right hand by Coleman. Another.
What a battle. What a battle.
Don took some grueling shots, you're saying. I'm actually surprised that he's able to maintain his feet.
We are seeing the metal that Fry is made of. He can take a shot. Coleman, his first UFC, doing exceptionally well, much as you did, Dan. But that isn't Royce Gracie in the guard. That's Don Fry. And he's having success finding the range with some fists.
And he's doing what Gracie has always done, which is feel your opponent. You don't have to look at him. You know where he is.
That's from all the years of experience. So like I said, you spend over half your life on the mat. That just comes natural.
A multitude of right hands landed in that sequence by Mark Coleman. Bruce Beck, Jeff Blatnick, and Dan Severn, octagon side in the UFC 10.
Short left knee by Coleman there. And he's got to be way ahead on points with the fighters cards now, and I think he knows that. So he's probably here now going to start to, he's got to be, he's fatigued. And look at him, he's still going after him.
He's showing the heart of a champion.
I thought he was just going to kind of cruise there for a while, but he came right back and started throwing punches again.
Short left hand by Coleman.
That's part of the wrestling practices that they're used to going through, just long, grueling practices. You know, I mean, when you're tired, you can hardly stand. You're still out there pushing, and continue to go for the technique.
This is pride now and heart, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's both competitors are digging down deep.
Well, Fry will get a break if he gets to the 15-minute mark. And that is all. Big John McCarthy, I think, has called it off, or is he calling for the doctor again? He wants the doctor again. He has not called it off.
That's it, baby. You got it. That's it.
Leon Tabbs comes over. Cut man.
And I think that might be it. He's pulling on the wrist of Don Fry. He wouldn't do that if it was still, the fight was still going to go.
I think it's going to be over. He's bringing Fry
That's
out.
it.
Yep.
That's going to be it.
We've got a new champion.
Mark Coleman in his first UFC will be a winner.
Mark Coleman wins UFC 10 in Birmingham, Alabama. Don Fry's reign is over for the time being.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a fantastic championship
So the undefeated
bout.
streak ends. Coleman is exhausted, but he showed tremendous will, as did Don Fry. All right, Dan Severn, let's take a look at some of the replays and pick up some of these action. This is the big pickup, Dan.
Okay, at this point in time, I mean, Coleman just showing the power and the technique right now, picking up. Don had to reach out right away, get hooked up onto something. I mean, who knows what would have happened, you know, aeronautically speaking.
Well, what happened when he turned to face Coleman was he caught a right hand flush on the cheek.
Here's the end, guys.
No, that eye is bleeding pretty bad. This is a decision by John McCarthy, weighing the situation that Fry was in and whether or not he's going to be able to come back and fight.
Yeah, it looked like the eye actually was swelled shut, so it actually Don could not even see to protect himself from that angle.
Jeff Blatnick standing by outside the octagon, waiting for Mark Coleman.
I'm here with the victorious Mark Coleman. And Mark, congratulations in your first. You said you visualized this. Did it come exactly as you saw it in your mind?
Pretty much. It's just that I didn't know these guys could take so many punches. Really, they took some hard punches and kept on fighting. All these guys are real tough. I can get a lot better, though.
As a wrestler, how important was it for you to do well here?
That was so important. I did this for my freestyle buddies, Greco-Roman as well, any wrestler in general. We don't get enough credit for as hard as we work. There's a lot of good athletes out there in the wrestling world that just don't get the credit they deserve. I did this for you guys. I did this for my mom and dad and all my friends, and my coach, Richard Hamilton, who gave me this opportunity to be here. And I thank SEG, everybody, for just giving me this opportunity. I've been waiting a long time for this.
Well, hey, Mark, we want to wish you the very best of luck. An outstanding performance by you tonight, and the best of luck. Good luck to you and your trainer, Richard Hamilton.
Dr. Williams, that's 3. I just want to say, Bobby Douglas, you ain't getting that, what kind of prediction was that? Come on, man.
Well, to Mark Coleman, the big congratulations. Back to you, Bruce.
$50,000 to Mark Coleman, and the belt that to many of these athletes means more than just the cash.